At last year's mass call, they did a survey on all these newly minted lawyers, and they were asked a question: how many of them see themselves continuing in the profession? And an alarming more than 50% of them said that they don't see themselves in the legal profession after 5 years. This gives us grave concern.
Even as an intern, I realized that sometimes you really have to put in the hours in order to do good work. Can we really achieve work-life balance in the legal profession?
Don't start off by thinking that you need to put in a lot of time to produce a good piece of work. You will improve. I mean, okay, you might have some exploitation, you might have some overwork, but you should know how to deal with that if you feel exploited.
Do you think that young lawyers, if let's say they experience any professional misconduct or mistreatment by bosses, do you think that lawyers should just suck it up, suffer in silence, or do you think they should speak up?
So to my mind, it's very clear. If it is something wrongful, then you should speak up.
If let's say we are in like 6 months into our training contract and we speak up, and then what if we have to restart or like waste time?
It's not good to lose time. But what are you balancing that against? Being subjected to treatment that you find deeply unpalatable, or even worse, if it is wrong, and sort of keeping quiet about it and not protecting future trainees. To me, I think the answer is clear. Just speak up and say, I'm out of here. I'm going to tell the new place exactly what I did. I'm sure I'll be able to find some place that would agree with what I did. And when that place agrees with what I did, I've actually come one step closer to somewhere where I want to be.
But the responsibility of maybe whistleblowing or speaking up against an environment like that is a very heavy responsibility, and it's maybe quite a bit to put on the shoulders of someone who's not even a lawyer yet. So I'm just wondering whether there's something that our systems or even law firms can do.
I can't speak for the whole community at large, but I think the Law Society, Academy have really shifted towards looking after the welfare and development of the young lawyers, because this problem with a high attrition rate has been with us for several years. At the end of the day, though, it still takes that one person's own courage to sort of say, this is it. The crux of the issue is you will be judged for speaking up. So your moderation of language, the way you say it, becomes very important, and you have to remember why you are saying it. You are saying it to make the system better. You're not saying it to get it off your chest.
Have you ever encountered an incident or a case that ever made you question your choice in career?
Yes, but I have to say it's in my younger years. I drew the ire of clients. I was criticized by the lead lawyer or other people in the team for not doing the work properly. The question is, how deeply did that strike, and how did you crawl back and start again? You do the weighing. If you don't like it, then you change course. But here, maybe I should just put a pointer. In private practice, you shouldn't change course too easily. There is a lot of disruption, and it's a problem if you change course too often, because to run back to the same level of momentum, you're going to take more than 6 months.
I just wanted to ask, in your opinion, whether there are any skills lacking in young lawyers in the past decade, and your opinion on that as well.
Yes, there are a lot of skills that are lacking in the young lawyers. And I don't mean this as a criticism. Because you come out from law school, there are a lot of skills which you have not had the opportunity to hone. The real issue is how long does a young lawyer take to really master those skills. You're not going to be able to understand everything in the first year, second year. But there is nothing like sitting in the middle of a negotiation or planning how to structure a transaction that really gets you to apply what you have learned. And the gap between the textbook knowledge and the process of application is actually a very big one.
What do you think the main contributing factors that young lawyers these days are actually living in practice, and what advice would you give?
I've seen a lot of young lawyers who left early on in their careers, decided to do something else, and ended up being in a place where I think It's much better than where they would be if they had stayed on in legal practice. But that's because these are people who know where their strengths are, what they want to do, which industry they want to pursue. A pull factor rather than a push factor normally. Young lawyers have left the profession because of just push factors. You have to be a bit more careful about exactly what the push factors are. Does it warrant leaving practice? Is it the specific place you're in? Phone calls after 7 o'clock, having to reply to emails over the weekend, unreasonable deadlines, not be able to secure more than 5 days leave at one stretch. Those are the usual gripes. But we also have to be realistic. If someone else is willing to work harder than you to deliver more to the client, it's a marketplace, it's free competition. You can't run away from clients who impose tight deadlines because they themselves are under tight deadlines. At the end of the day, you are competing for work. And you have to ask yourself, how is that different from any other industry? Which industry allows you to deliver less and be paid the same, or have the same amount of satisfaction in your work? If you are just like stressed, too many deadlines, too much work, that doesn't give you a very clear basis to look for your next position.
So I was just wondering whether you have any suggestion for how we can bring these conversations up with our partners so that it's a fruitful one and you don't get dismissed as being this strawberry or Gen Z millennial who isn't ready to take on the pressures of legal practice.
I think that sometimes the fault lies with the partners or the older lawyers. So if you ask me how the communication channels can be improved, I think some time has to be set aside. You guys have to pick who you want to talk to because we older ones are not homogeneous. Some of us are more knowledgeable in some areas than others.
If I reel off some statistics to you, you will know why. It's so competitive to get into law school. Nothing wrong with that in terms of a personal desire to pursue one's goals. But it does show that maybe they should not have studied law. And to be put through those few years, only then not to use any more of it, is, in my view, a waste of those few years. Sometimes they may be in the wrong area of practice. Equally, it will help to hear the stories of the lawyers whose cases make headlines in our newspapers. What the lawyers went through with their clients, the intense pressure, and what satisfaction it gives the lawyer to know that they have made that difference. I hope after they've heard those stories that they will stay on in the legal profession because it is a special and unique calling to be a lawyer.